As parents, we want to set our children up for success. And when they're struggling with a specific subject or they need help with homework, especially if we don't feel equipped to answer, it's very frustrating. Well, IXL Learning is an online learning program for kids. It covers math, language arts, science, and social studies. When she was younger, Eleanor really struggled with math. And I know that when she was trying to keep up with a class, when she was trying to study for a test, IXL would have been exactly the kind of tool she needed.
Don't miss out. 1 in 4 students in the U.S. are learning with IXL. IXL is used in 95 of the top 100 school districts in the U.S. Make an impact on your child's learning. Get IXL now. And Happier with Gretchen Rubin listeners can get an exclusive 20% off IXL membership when they sign up today at ixllearning.com/happier. Visit ixllearning.com/happier to get the most effective learning program out there at the best price. Fall is calling, and Wayfair has everything you need to welcome the new season into your space. Gretch, for us, fall means time to use our fire pit. We love sitting outside around our fire pit at night, but we did not have any outdoor tables to put a drink on. So we visited the site and there was a huge selection of outdoor tables, which were exactly what we needed. I ordered 2, and they have transformed our fire pit experience.
No matter your style or budget, Wayfair is the go-to destination for everything autumn. Anything you need for the entryway, dining table, kitchen, and more. It has a huge selection of fall essentials like seasonal decor, bakeware, fire pits like you, and more. Wayfair makes it easy with fast and free shipping, even on the big stuff. They'll even help you set it up. Get ready for the season of change. Visit wayfair.com or get the Wayfair mobile app. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Hello and welcome to Happier, a podcast where we talk about strategies, solutions, hacks, resources, suggestions, observations, all about how to live happier lives. This week, we'll talk about why we might want to spare ourselves the work of having unnecessary opinions. And we will also share many suggestions from listeners about imaginative ways they keep themselves calm. I'm Gretchen Rubin, a writer who studies happiness, good habits, the empty nest phase, which I'm also calling the open door phase, human nature. I'm coming to you from my little home office in New York City, and joining me today from Los Angeles is my sister, Elizabeth Kraft. And Elizabeth, you've got several years ahead of you before you hit the open door stage.
That's me, Elizabeth Kraft, a TV writer and producer living in LA. And yes, Gretch, I have 4 more years. But today, Jack's at home because it is so hot in LA that his school closed.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so that is a heat wave. He's having a heat day instead of a snow day.
That never happened to us growing up, or never happened to Eliza and Eleanor. Okay, Los Angeles. But before we jump in, we have a few updates.
Yes, Gretch, this comes from Kirsty, who is referring to the fact that you and I this summer went on our trip to England where we walked all over Northumberland and the Lake District. And one place we walked was called Catbells.
Yeah.
And she said, having recently climbed Catbells, I thought this might interest you. Last night, I took part in a charity walk called the Lakeland Festival of Light. We line the route up Catbells, and as the sun sets, there's a countdown. Then we all turn on our torches, which is what they call flashlights.
Yeah.
The effect, seen from Keswick or the opposite bank of Derwentwater, is breathtaking. Having walked Catbells previously, the experience of being up there and then walking back down in the dark was surreal. A completely different 5 senses experience to doing it during the day.
Well, spoiler alert, we're going to bring this up again later in the episode with a hack from another listener. But I have to say, I went online to look at pictures. She sent a picture of it. It is gorgeous. And what an imaginative and exciting way to raise money for a charity and also have a completely new way of experiencing an environment to do something with other people. I just thought this was a breathtaking idea.
Yes, and the picture she sent was so beautiful.
Yeah, what a fun thing to be part of.
Also, on the topic of our trip to England, we got this from Anna from Scotland, who, by the way, noticed that you had said you like moss on rocks and flowers coming out of rocks.
Yeah, walls, yeah.
Yes, rock walls. She said, I wanted to let you know how much I enjoyed the recent episodes where you and Elizabeth discussed your trip to England. I live in the Outer Hebrides, a chain of island off the west coast of Scotland, and we have heather-covered moorland, plant-strewn stone walls, and stiles in abundance. It was fun to hear you getting excited about things that are commonplace to me, and it made me think that you might enjoy looking at the @LakeStyles account on X. It's a quirky account full of pictures of styles and also kissing gates and finger posts and other random countryside bits and pieces from all over the UK. P.S. My husband and I always exchange a kiss when passing through a kissing gate.
Oh, I mean, that is so sweet. But you know what I love about this is that it reminds you that the things that are very ordinary to you can be very exciting to people who are visiting. I always love it when that happens because it makes you as the person for whom it's ordinary appreciate your everyday life. For instance, Elizabeth, you were saying like palm trees.
Yes.
You still appreciate palm trees because they're new to you. One of the things that you see in New York City, especially if you're in Central Park, is squirrels. So we grew up in Kansas City. If you're in New York City, squirrels are everywhere. Like, yeah, they're cute and they're graceful and they jump around. And nobody really minds the squirrels that much. But people from other countries, they cannot believe their eyes. They will take pictures. They're just enchanted by squirrels. And every time I see it, I think, oh, I should appreciate the beauty of squirrels and the way they move and their gracefulness. Because I take them for granted because they're so familiar, just the way somebody else is like, oh, some flowers growing out of a wall. That's just something you see every day. And here I am snapping away photographs. It's a nice thing to remember.
Absolutely.
And one more thing, we are coming up on 100th day. In 2024, 100th day is September 23rd. So if there's something that you want to get done by the end of 2024, consider yourself notified that you're approaching the 100-day mark, which I think is a good milestone. It's a good catalyst to tackle that 24 and 24 list or whatever it might be.
Yes, I need to go over my list and see where I am and what I could do before hitting that mark.
Yeah, listen, this is not going to be one of my big accomplishment years. I'm just saying that right now. I don't think so.
Well, you've had a lot going on.
Yeah. Well, this week, our Try This at Home suggestion is to spare yourself the work of unnecessary opinions.
So explain what this means, Gretch.
Okay. This occurred to me recently because a couple incidences reminded me of the fact that I will tend to kind of work very hard, think really hard, really tie myself up in knots, forming an opinion about something where it doesn't make any difference what I think. Either it's not my problem to solve or nothing that I decide will have any influence on it at all. And the way that I thought of this was, okay, you know that Eleanor has gone off to college. And in her dorm room, the way that it's set up is there was one little room that had one bed in it, one little room that had a bunk bed in it, and one larger common room. And what we sort of knew in advance from some little video they sent is that most of the kids these days debunk the bed and have somebody in the common room. And so the question is, A, do you debunk the bed? And B, who is in the common room of the three roommates? And I was really giving a lot of thought. Well, is this good? Is this bad? What are the pros? What are the cons? How would you manage it? Because you have to walk through the common room to get to the bedroom. So if you're in the common room, people are walking through your room. So I was really working hard to like come up with a take. And then I realized this is not my problem.
Yeah.
Eleanor was on it. They were texting back and forth. They knew that this was an issue and they were figuring it out. And it's like absolutely no one was interested in my opinion, had asked for my opinion, needed my opinion. And by the way, I didn't know anything more than she knew. Maybe you could say, okay, with time and experience, I'd have something, but I really didn't. I mean, just personally,
Yes.
I don't think I have a good insight into that. But I really was using a lot of mental energy doing the pros and cons in my mind and trying to think through solutions. It's like, spare myself that work.
It's funny, Gretchen, because I was at a lunch recently with a bunch of women, some of whom had just taken their kids to college for the first time. And it was so similar. They were saying, well, I was suggesting that they should set up a routine where one person cleans the bathroom one week and then the next week. But they didn't know if they wanted to do that. And I was like, next week on the podcast, we're going to talk about how you don't have to have an opinion. You'll never know how dirty the bathroom is or isn't, or how often your son's changing his sheets, and you don't need an opinion on this. And it's not great.
Well, another way this comes up is like, I'll have a take where nobody's asking me to give my op-ed on some issue. So one thing that I have strong opinions on is academic requirements. A lot of places might have a language requirement, a math requirement, blah, 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 blah. And Elizabeth, I don't know if you have this, but maybe as a writer, you start writing things in your head, and I will start writing and rewriting and sort of like, no, I would lead with this, and then no, this is a better verb, and it's tiring. Now, maybe it's like doing scales in your head because I'm constantly writing in my head, and that's probably good for me as a writer, but it's also exhausting to think about, well, what if you would say this? Then I would say that. And I'm like, just let it go. If I want to like write an op-ed, okay, do it, but just to do it in my head so that I have my take formulated. Maybe for some people that's enjoyable, but I definitely have a tendency to do it in ways that are tiring and make me feel drained, but there's no point. It's unnecessary opinion forming that I don't need to do.
Yeah, a topic like that for me is the Olympics in Los Angeles. We're going to have the Olympics. And it's like, do I think it'll be fun to have the Olympics? Do I think it'll be a pain to have the Olympics? Do I wish that I wasn't going to be in town during the Olympics? Do I think, oh my gosh, the most amazing thing in the world, we're having the Olympics, and what will that be? And is it good for the city or not? It's like, I really don't need to analyze this because I have no control over it.
It's done. It's
going to happen. I will experience it when it happens. And then I can report back, Gretch, on the podcast about how it was. But up until then, I don't need to like stare at the ceiling and ponder the Olympics.
Well, I found out from our wedding, because for both of us, our mother, who has amazing, beautiful taste, much more than we do. I think I speak for both of us. And she was very, very involved in making the decisions in our wedding. And one of the things she sort of gently teased me about was that I would say like, oh, I don't have an opinion. But if I was asked for an opinion or I could weigh in, it turns out if somebody asks you your opinion, you often discover that you do have an opinion, and maybe not for the better. And so one thing I've learned, especially in work contexts, is even if I'm sort of invited to give my opinion, to really have humility about what do I have good judgment about, and really to say to people, in this, I defer to your judgment, because maybe they have better judgment than I do. I don't need to have an opinion, and I might think that I have an opinion, but it's not an educated opinion, or it's maybe something where somebody might be much more aware of trade-offs and considerations than I am. And so don't just lob an opinion unnecessarily, especially if I'm not equipped to have a good opinion.
Yeah, I think that's such an important point, Gretchen, because not only is this about our own fatigue of just thinking or overthinking things, but it can really be a unpleasant or a pain or detrimental to those around you who do need to have an opinion or who it is impacting. Like The Room, if you had this really strong take on it and you were going against the vibe of the three roommates, that could create its own conflict, its own set of stress and strain for them.
You mean as if I, as the mother, am weighing in from the sidelines and interfering with their... Yes, absolutely.
You could actually do harm. It's not even just that you yourself are worrying for no reason. It's that you can negatively impact those who it is relevant to.
Because I'm meddling.
And I think you and I both can have that tendency.
Now, and again, it's fine if your opinion is needed, or if you enjoy rehearsing these things in your head, or you find it interesting to kind of articulate your views. But I am just really trying to notice when I am struggling to decide my opinion and unnecessarily exhausting myself.
Good luck to us with this.
Yes. Good luck to us.
Endeavor not to have opinions when we don't need to.
Yes. Well, so let us know if you do try this at home and how you've spared yourself the work of having unnecessary opinions. Is this something that you've experienced, or is this just our thing? Let us know on Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook. Drop us an email at podcast@gretchenrubin.com. Or as always, you can go to the show notes. This is happiercast.com/499 for everything related to this episode.
All right, coming up, we've got a happiness hack related to the 5 senses. But first, this break. When it comes to happiness and good habits, you know we've got you covered. But who do you turn to when you need smart financial decisions? If your answer is our sponsor, NerdWallet, then you're absolutely right. And if it's not, let us change your mind. Turn to the nerds at NerdWallet. Not only have they spent thousands of hours researching and reviewing over 1,300 financial products, but they have the tools you need to make smarter decisions.
I love that. Looking for a credit card? Go beyond the basic comparisons, filter for the features that matter to you, and read in-depth reviews. Ready to choose a high-yield savings account? Get access to exclusive deals and compare rates, bonuses, and more. House hunting? View today's top mortgage rates for your home sweet home. Make the nerds your go-to resource for smart financial decisions. Head to nerdwallet.com/learn more. NerdWallet. Finance smarter. NerdWallet Compare, Inc., NMLS 1617539. Okay, Elizabeth, this is a happiness hack that comes from a listener.
Yes, Jessica said, every year our town has a community fair, and I've noticed that going at night and then during the day are 2 totally different experiences. I've noticed this also when taking my kids to a local amusement park. Doing the exact same thing, but at different times of the day can lead to wildly different memories. This insight has brought a lot of joy to my family's life, and I wanted to pass it along to your listeners.
Well, this is exactly what the listener was saying about cat bells, that it was completely different to do that at night. And I love the way that this is a 5 senses experience, where it's like you're having the same experience, but it's utterly transformed because it's at a different time of the day.
Yes. And Gretchen, this reminds me, she mentioned an amusement park. When we were young, we loved going to Worlds of Fun in Kansas City, our amusement park.
Yes.
And as we got older, we would start going at night.
Yes.
When it was much less crowded and cooler.
Yes.
And it was so different at night. It seemed so glamorous.
Yes. It was all lit up. Everything was sort of outlined. I can still see the octopus outlined in lime green electric lights.
Yes. And remember, you could get in for less after 5 p.m.
Yes.
So there was a real incentive to go at night. And it was just totally different.
Yes, it was a very different experience. So this is a great way to get more mileage out of our experiences, to think, well, what if we had a picnic at dawn, or we had a picnic to see the moon, or whatever it might be. I thought this was a really imaginative yet very simple hack to transform experiences.
Yes. So thank you for that.
Okay, and now for a know yourself better question. Okay, so Elizabeth, when it comes to something, whether it is a party or a vacation or food, do you feel like in your mind you're thinking, I have to get the maximum value? I have to drain every drop from this thing or this experience or this situation? Or do you feel like you should just take what you want, satisfy what you want, even if that means that you don't use it up, you don't stay to the last minute, you don't eat the last bite? What do you think?
Well, Gretchen, I am definitely one of the use it up people. I am somebody who feels
that's what I figured.
that I should be using it up. If I'm at a party, I feel I should try to stay till the end. If I'm at an amusement park, I feel like I should ride all the rides.
Yeah.
If I'm on vacation, I feel like I shouldn't be in the room. I should be out, at least laying by the pool. It's not that I feel I necessarily need to be sightseeing, but I want to be enjoying the property. And I am trying to change that. But as of now, I feel guilty if I don't. So it's not even necessarily that I want to use it up. It's that
Right.
I feel guilty if I don't.
Right. And so, in a way, it undercuts your enjoyment of an experience because you're feeling like I'm doing it wrong.
Yes.
Well, I think that it's interesting because I definitely am the same way as you. I think our parents are the same way. And I think an example of this is like when we would go on vacation, like as a family, we were like hit the ground running, do
Yeah.
everything we possibly could, come back at the last possible minute. And it was really different for me to be with Jamie because Jamie is definitely a person where he's like, I want what I want. And if there's something left over that I don't want, that's okay. I don't have to get the maximum value. I need to get the value that is the value that I want from this experience. And it's funny because I didn't even realize that that was a different perspective. I
Right.
didn't understand that somebody could have a different view. I could see how for some people this could be a conflict where like people have conflict. But for me, I think like you, Elizabeth, I often had guilt. And so it was a tremendous relief for me for Jamie to be like, look, we've done a lot of sightseeing today. We're all kind of tired. Let's all go back and take a nap. And I'm like, wow, can you do that?
Yeah.
It was exciting to think, well, you can just take as much as you want. You don't have to have as much as you can.
Yeah, this is definitely a source of conflict between Adam and me.
Oh.
Well, why are we even going if we're not going to do all the
Right.
things?
Yes.
So I am really trying to say, well, what do I want to do? Not what should I do? What
Right.
do I want to do?
Right. It's kind of an interesting question to keep in mind because if you are having experiences where you're consistently not using things up, then maybe you do want to plan differently. Like if we're not going to do XYZ, why are we even going there? Or maybe we think we want this kind of experience, but then when we have the opportunity, we really don't seem to want that kind of experience. Maybe this is a fantasy of what we think we want to do with our time. We actually want to be doing something else. Maybe you're too ambitious, you've got too much on your plate, or maybe you've made a choice that in the end is like people aren't that excited about.
Yeah, what's interesting about this know yourself better question is unlike a lot of our questions where you sort of are what you are, like a night owl or a lark.
Right.
This you could really change your attitude about. You can
Absolutely.
examine, wait,
Yes.
how do I feel? And is it serving me? And is that how I want to feel? Because you also might be someone who could stand to use things up a little more, who
Right.
could push yourself.
Yes.
Because you know, okay, if I get up and do the sunrise hike, I will enjoy it.
Yes.
So let me not just be complacent. Let me try to use up this time in a national park. So
Right.
it goes both ways.
Right, because you want to take advantage of opportunities. So again, it's that thing about we want to accept ourselves and also expect more from ourselves. And I think this is just a helpful question because it just lets you ask a question in a different way that maybe would highlight aspects of your patterns so that you'd say, well, should I let myself dial back a little bit or should I really push myself to get more value out of something? It's not that there's one right way. It's just that people have different perspectives. People might have conflicts because they have different perspectives, or maybe we want to do something different for ourselves, like you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now for listener answers. Sometimes we answer a listener question and sometimes listeners answer our questions. And this is a bunch of great suggestions that we got in response to episode 464, where we talked about ways to give ourselves calm. And I have to say that for me, a huge benefit in my life that came out of writing the book Life in Five Senses is that, I gave myself the exercise of going to the Met every day. And now I know if I'm rattled, if I'm uneasy, if I'm feeling lonely for Eleanor and the open door, if I need to give myself serenity, I go to the Met, and the minute I walk through the doors, I just feel it drop over me. It feels peaceful and exciting at the same time, which is not easy. And so for me, visiting the Met is really a source of calm that I can turn to. How about you, Elizabeth? What do you turn to?
Well, I still have my blankie from childhood, Gretchen,
Yeah.
and definitely holding my blankie, smelling my
does.
blankie, cuddling my
does.
blankie really helps calm me down.
Yeah.
When Jack was little, like if I woke up in the night with racing thoughts or whatever, I would go and get into bed with him, and that would calm me down. But of course, now he's really too old for that, unfortunately.
Oh, yes. Holding a baby. Yes.
And of course, now that we have the dogs, I find brushing the dogs calms me down.
Yeah.
It's a thing where I feel like I'm being productive, but also getting that nice dog time.
But again, this is one of the things I wrote about in Life in Five Senses, which is that we can use touch, the things that we hold and the things that we touch to really calm ourselves. And so I think holding a child or brushing a dog are great examples of that. Evelyn said, when you have little kids, the hour before dinner can be especially stressful. One thing that calms me down and also seems to calm my kids down is watching and listening to the Nutcracker Ballet on YouTube. I've always loved the Nutcracker and have seen it many times. The music is very fun and doesn't have words, but instead has visual images of the dancers that pop into my head for me because I've watched it so many times. I think the combination of the brain movie and the music shuts off a stress switch for me. My kids get up and try to copy the steps or just watch, mesmerized, if they are very tired. So that's lovely.
Yes. Carissa said, one thing that calms me down is to read spa menus. It makes me feel like I'm getting ready to go have a wonderful spa treatment, even if I never book a thing.
That just cracked me up.
I also like to read spa menus.
Really?
Yes, I will do that. I will go look at Miraval or something.
Can I just say, I never thought of that in a million years. Okay, Peggy says, watching a craft project or making a craft project. This is interesting because on social media now, especially my daughter Eliza, loves to watch things like people frosting cakes or people painting a canvas. It's very satisfying to do a craft project yourself, but even watching somebody do it can be very, very calming.
Pamela Ann said, deep breaths. And sometimes I just need to hug my daughter. She's a cancer survivor. She's now 14 years old, and hugging her always grounds me and reminds me that nothing else matters.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Lindsay says, a cat in my lap would solve any problem. So there's like cats and dogs, both great.
Sherry said, listening to a guided meditation, gardening, hands in dirt, a walk in nature.
Classics. Connie Ann said, I learned a song that basically is the 50 states in alphabetical order in first grade. I'm 57 now. I find myself singing it in times of stress. It works to distract me. Love it.
Sandy said, exercise, and for me, that's riding my bike. I'm a cyclist, and a bike ride can change my day. Wind in my face, challenging hills, and I've got a whole new outlook. Seeing the world on a bike gives me a whole different view, literally and mentally.
Terrific. Ashley said, I've started doing puzzles while listening to audiobooks when I'm anxious. It helps a lot to keep my hands and mind busy simultaneously. Good idea.
That's what Sarah does, my writing partner. Olivia says, cleaning, the sense of accomplishment after washing the dishes or folding a load of laundry brings the world back into perspective.
For many people, outer order contributes to inner calm. It's true.
You wrote a book about it.
Yes, I did. Sydney said, sensory overload is a big contributor to my anxiety. When I start to feel anxious, I try to eliminate negative sensations first. Is there music or other audio playing that I can turn off? Am I overheated and can I remove a layer? Is there visual clutter I can clear? Am I hungry or thirsty? This is a really great approach.
Lisa said, playing solitaire, the old-fashioned way with a real deck of cards, not on an app.
Again, it's the tactile there. Christine says, watching Pride and Prejudice, the BBC version, for the 100th time.
And then, Gretch, sometimes the opposite approaches work for different people. Pam said a cold shower or at least a very cold washcloth to the face will disrupt anxiety. So instead of a warm shower, a cold shower.
Right. And Nicole said, warm shower or bath and getting into a big fluffy robe. So you do you.
And finally, Sarah says, I was recently traveling and had 3 flights back to back, 20 solid hours. I don't normally sleep in public places because it's hard to relax. But in this case, I was with someone who was making sure things were safe and we just had a lot of time to burn with layovers. I put on your podcast and had a neck pillow. And to my surprise, I was able to sleep in both the airport and the plane. I think hearing both of your voices helped me feel something familiar and that I could let go and sleep. Now I just have to go back and listen to the episode that I missed, but I am glad I was able to turn to my favorite podcast for comfort in a stressful time. Thanks. Oh, Gretch, I love being a voice that someone can fall asleep to.
I do too. Some people might think, is that good? And we say, yes, that is good. We would love to be the calming soporific.
Yes.
Great suggestions from everybody.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. Coming up, Gretchen gives herself a repeat demerit, but first this break.
This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar. I love IQ bars because, I eat very, very low carb and I need to eat on the go. And the IQ bar refuels and nourishes me. It satisfies my hunger. There's no sugar crash. Start each day right with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. Their ultimate sampler pack includes all three. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our podcast listeners an exclusive deal, 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping.
IQ Bar makes the #1 brain and body nutrition bar, hydration mix, and instant coffee in the U.S. And right now, IQ Bar is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, just text HAPPIER to 64,000. Text HAPPIER to 64,000. That's HAPPIER to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. A new school year is starting soon, and personally, I cannot believe I have a 9th grader on my hands. If you're a parent, you want to make sure this new school year is an opportunity for your kids to learn important life skills and continue building independence. For that, I recommend Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app for families where kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely, and parents can keep an eye on kids' new money habits. Jack took his Greenlight card to Japan this summer, and it was so great that he had the independence to spend, but I was able to see what he was buying.
And if you want even more out of Greenlight, you can upgrade to Greenlight's Infinity plan. Greenlight Infinity includes the same access to financial literacy education, plus it has built-in safety to give you peace of mind. Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/happier. That's greenlight.com/happier to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/happier. Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to now.
All right, Gretch, we're back with demerits and gold stars, and this week you have a repeat demerit.
Oh, I repeated this one so many times. Like I said, outer order contributes to inner calm. I know that I'm a person who feels calmer when I have a lot of order around me, and yet I will just let piles of papers grow in my office. I'm just generally letting it get messy with sort of books out of place, pens out of place, just stuff. I need to sit down and do a real purge, and not even just tidying it up, but I need to go through it and really cut back. There's a lot of stuff that's just accumulated. But you know how it is. When I'm in the middle of a workday, nothing sounds more enticing than clearing clutter.
Yes.
And then when I actually have some free time, I don't feel like doing that. I want to go read a novel. So I need to buckle down. It really will make me feel a lot more calm and energized if I get control of the mess in my office.
Yes, Gretchen, I know you will be snapping less often if you have a clean office.
Yes. I need to read my outer order inner calm book and get inspired. That's what it's for. And how about your gold star? Let's just take us up.
All right, Gretch, I am giving a gold star to myself, Adam, and Jack, and also to modern medicine, because we all went and got our new COVID vaccines and flu shots this weekend.
Oh, good.
So I
gotta
just
do
said,
that.
so many people have COVID in Los Angeles. I just kept hearing this person has COVID, that person has COVID, and the new shots came out, and I just went on the website, made an appointment. We went, we got both at the same time, and now we are set, and I feel so relieved.
Oh, it's just so nice to get that crossed off the list.
Yes. And it's the kind of thing, there have been years where in February, I've finally gotten the flu shot. So it's done now. So, and a reminder to everybody, get your vaccines.
Yes. Yeah.
It's very easy.
I got to get that done. You've inspired me. So gold star to all three of you. and medicine. The resource for this week, there is a 4 Tendencies at Work PDF. So September is the other January. Everybody's buckling down to work after the summer. And one thing people often ask me is about using the 4 tendencies at work, how to be happier at work by reducing conflict or procrastination or whatever. And the 4 tendencies can really be helpful if you're trying to understand your boss or a colleague or a client or a student, why they're doing what they're doing, how to deal with them more successfully. So I have a resource on my website that has lots of practical tips about using the 4 tendencies at work. So you can get that if you are interested at happiercast.com/work tendencies. And that's one word. And Elizabeth, what are we reading? What are you reading?
I am reading Ambition Monster, a memoir by Jennifer Romolini.
And I'm about to start Ghost by Jason Reynolds. And that's it for this episode of Happier. Remember to try this at home. Spare yourself the work of forming unnecessary opinions. Let us know if you tried it and if it worked for you.
Thank you to our executive producer, Chuck Reed, and everyone at Odyssey. Get in touch. Gretchen's on Instagram, Threads, Facebook, and TikTok at Gretchen Rubin, and I'm on Threads and Instagram at Liz Craft. Our email address is podcast@gretchenrubin.com.
If you like the show, please rate and review us. That really helps our show. And tell everyone you know. Here's your rhyming reminder. If you like the show, tell everyone you know.
Until next week, I'm Elizabeth Craft.
And I'm Gretchen Rubin. Thanks for joining us. Onward and upward. Elizabeth, it's funny how many memories I have of Worlds of Fun from childhood. The smells and the cotton candy and the corn dogs.
The funnel cakes.
Ugh, the funnel cakes. The octopus, the flume. Some of them now, when we go, they've got different names, but I still call them by their old name.
The gift shops with all the little souvenirs.
Oh, and remember the twirly long lollipop that it didn't even taste good, but it was so pretty. We always got one.
Well, and one time Dad got me one of the big paper flowers.
I remember
and I
those.
had it in it was green.
Yes.
I had it in my room for
oh my gosh,
decades.
I remember that flower. From the Onward Project.
Time is luxury, which is why Polestar spent so much time designing and refining every aspect of Polestar 3, their luxury electric performance SUV, so you can drive with up to 315 miles of range, so you can listen in 3D with up to 25 speakers and Bowers & Wilkins surround sound, and you can seamlessly stay connected with Google built in the entire time you're driving. All to make the time you spend behind the wheel of Polestar 3 the best time of your day. Book your test drive at Polestar.com.